Gentlemen, welcome to the Q&A session. So what we're going to do right now is that we're going to reflect on the infield sessions yesterday, what went well in your approaches, what went bad, and what we need to improve. So I'm going to answer all your questions right now. So just ask me your questions and I'm going to answer them for you.
Cool. Anyone want to start? We can cut in and out of space. That's hard, right?
Okay. Yeah. As I mentioned on the group text, I did have trouble in the moment coming up with something to open with, not immediately seeing situational things to latch onto. So do you recommend, having certain indirect openers ready to go in that situation? Or
Yes.
direct?
So generally what you want to have is that you have some lines that you can always use, like your fallback lines or material and openers that you can always use. So for example, hey, excuse me, can I tell you something? Hey, excuse me, I just seen you from over there. You look cute, so I wanted to come and say hello, right? So these are the things that you can always use. But also in the interactions, you want to be completely present to the moment, so you can just come up with things. Like you're wearing a black shirt and some trousers, and if a girl is dressed completely in black, then you can come up with things like, hey, can I tell you something? As a pre-opener, so to say. Then she's giving you a yes or a no, and most of the time it's gonna be yes. And then you just deliver your opening line, right? So in the beginning, it's important that you speak with pauses. So you say something, you wait until she responds, and then you deliver your opening line. So it's good to have opening lines that you can always use, that you just study before, so you can deliver them in a good voice and in a good tonality, because it's not so important what you say, it's much more important how you say it. And if you say it in a self-amused, in a funny, in a charismatic way, then it's gonna work regardless. But you always want to look at the girl, how she's dressed, her hair color, her eye color, like how she's generally looking, so you can come up with assumption stack. So if she's having blonde hair and blue eyes, she can be from Sweden, from Poland, from Germany, and then you can just say, hey, excuse me, are you from Germany? You look like a typical German girl. Or hey, are you from Sweden? You look like the typical Scandinavian girl, right? So you can come up with things like this on the go, but it's really important that you're present to the moment so that you can talk about what you see. So like observational statements on what you see with the girl. For example, if she's carrying like a really big bag or she's dressed like a secretary, then you can say, you look like a typical secretary, with your black outfit and with your glasses. And that most of the time makes the girls laugh because you just putting things out there that she then can say yes or no to, or she can react to. So that's very easy. But I recommend have some opening lines that you can always use. So for example, hey, you look like my little sister. you look like a friend of mine. Hey, I really like your dress. I think this girl over there is wearing the same. So like you can use these openers. And in regards, should you go direct or indirect, the intention is communicated non-verbally. So with your body language and with your energy and with your voice and tonality. you know so that's much more important than like, should I go direct, should I tell the girl she's cute or beautiful or whatever. But I would never tell girls that they're gorgeous or beautiful, like, or sexy, like all these words that convey too much attention you know
Okay. Yeah, it's just something mild, like you look cute.
yeah
Blah,
yeah you look cute, like a hamster with your little cheeks here, you know just kind of funny things. And also push pull always works. So you give her a compliment and then kind of a tease, and this puts the girl on this emotional roller coaster where she doesn't really know if it's a compliment or not. So if you open a girl and she's like, is that a compliment or not, then that's a perfect opener. Because then she's a little bit confused and she doesn't really know what's going on. So, but in generally, it doesn't matter how you show your intention. It's more about not giving your power away. So when you feel desperate, when you feel needy, when you're looking for approval with your energy and with your body language and you're leaning into the girl like you did yesterday, then that's a little bit of a problem, you know? So like you can say whatever you want to the girls. You just don't want to come from a needy and desperate energy in the opener. And also not with a weak voice and not speaking loud enough so she doesn't even hear you and she doesn't take you seriously.
Okay. Next question
Yeah.
is
Did that answer your question?
yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
Next question would be on stopping them versus walking with them. I know a lot of times they weren't readily stopping. Do you try to stop pretty much most of the time unless they're persistent on walking?
Yes, we'll also talk about this in the role play and we're going to demonstrate it and practice it later when the girls come. But you never want to walk with a girl. Unless you walk a little bit with a girl and then she's stopping, right? But you don't want to walk next to her like a little puppy and then leaning in from the side and then, hey, because you can't really have a conversation. When you're walking with the girl, then you can't really make eye contact. You can't physically escalate. You can't touch her. And also yesterday, you've been standing way too far away from her. So you don't want to have the social distancing. So you want to stand like as if you're talking to a friend next to the girl.
Okay, so pretty much all the time, go for the stop.
Yes. And especially in the beginning, it's important that you learn how to stop girls because it helps you to be more dominant and to be more of a leader. And then it just makes the entire interaction more dominant from the start, because she's stopping for you because you said, hey, I want to talk to you. You're cute or whatever. And then she can always leave at any time anyways.
Yeah, so I have a question about escalation.
Yes.
So yesterday I had an instant date and I pulled her from the streets into my room really quickly. And then I didn't escalate once we're in my room. So how should I escalate once we're at my
Yes.
place?
Look, so when you approach a girl, there's kind of this time window when you can escalate and when you shouldn't escalate, right? And when you touch a girl and she likes it and she's receptive, then that's like compliance. So she's ready to take the conversation further. But you also never want to make the girl feel uncomfortable. So you have to find the balance because when you don't escalate at all, when you don't introduce yourself, I see it with clients all the time that they approach a girl and they have like this friendly 5 to 10 minute conversation, but they never introduce themselves. So like it all starts with the handshake, right? So when you approach her and you say hello, then just keep her hand a little longer and then see how she reacts to that. So like it all starts with the hand because you're escalating with the hands, you put your arm around her. She's also touching you sometimes. But generally it depends on the girl how quickly you can escalate. But if you don't escalate at all, then at one point she puts you in the friend zone box and she thinks, okay, this guy's obviously not interested in me, right? So you can verbally escalate, so like by the things you say, so overtly, but I like it to do it a little bit more hidden, just with your words, being friendly, keeping the conversation casual and not worrying so much about what you say. And just escalate quickly. So, for example, if she has a tattoo, ask her about her tattoo to show it to you. Or if she has some bracelets on, you can ask, oh, show me your bracelets, nice bracelets. I have the same, you know? So, these kind of things. Oh, that's nice material that you're wearing here. So I touch girls in the first 30 to 60 seconds when I'm talking to them, and then I know how they react. So, either I introduce myself with a handshake and then see how they react, or later on when you just do like the Kino escalation gambits that I give you in the course. The hand test and like the trust test. If you squeeze her hand, how is she reacting and all of these things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then yesterday, the girl that you pulled so quickly into your room, the same happened with me 2 weeks ago, but And she didn't want to come in the building, and then I said, yeah, whatever, then let's just drink coffee outside. And then later she wanted to come with me on the rooftop, and then we were here at the pool, and then I could escalate, and she was loving it, and then I banged her an hour later in my apartment. So I'm not sure if you did anything wrong. You just have to kind of, you don't want to like wait until you escalate and then like out of nowhere kiss her. So you want to build up the escalation process. So with the handshake, then maybe putting your arm around her, giving her a high five, fist bump, then hugging her, and then just sitting next to her, giving a massage, and then kissing, and then it leads to your bedroom. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah?
So when I would approach, yesterday I did 32 approaches, and a lot of the times it felt like I was taking energy rather than giving. So I'd have a fast interaction where it felt like I was kind of like bothering her, and I probably have like limiting beliefs around that. And I like what could be improved with my approaches to feel like I'm adding value to the interaction.
Yes. The most important mindset when you're approaching girls is you don't want anything, you don't need anything, you're not looking for her approval, and you don't care if she likes you. And if you think like that, then most problems are already solved. Because the leaning into the girl, like, oh, what did you say? Putting like way too much importance on the interaction itself and what she's saying is already sub-communicating, and women pick up on this, like an airport scanner. They read your body language, your voice, your tonality, and then they make an instinctive decision if they're getting attracted to you or not. So don't want anything, don't need anything, don't look for their approval, and don't care if they like you. Because when you do that, then most of the problems are already solved. And then also you have to believe in yourself that you are the best thing that could ever happen to the girl. Most men don't even approach women anymore. They're weak, they're shy, they're not very social, and you are improving your life now, and you are becoming that confident and charismatic man, and that's already something that you can be proud of, And also, like I said yesterday, don't be thirsty and don't be needy. And just don't care what happens with the interaction. Just being completely detached from the outcome. Don't think about getting her number. Don't think about getting a date with her. Don't think about if she's giving you her Instagram or if she's even reacting well. Because we open the girl, we open the conversation, then we run our game, we say funny things, we say things that could make her laugh, or we escalate, and then based on that, we go into the attraction phase. We go into getting the girl attracted to us by making funny things, making her laugh, giving her a fist bump, high five, all of these things. And then you read her body language and her signals, and based on this, you decide where the conversation is going. Because if she doesn't like it, she's going to let you know. She's going to be on the phone, she's going to give short answers, and she's just not going to care about you much. But the most important is that you don't really care about what's the outcome. Of course, you have your goal in mind, that you want to take her on an instant date, or that you want to go home with her or anything like that. But you can never be attached to the outcome. So you just kind of not care. And then there is not this resistance inside of you, like that desperate energy that you're giving off. And then it's much more likely to happen. So like also when you're exchanging Instagrams with the girls, and then you're like, yeah, give me your Instagram, being super quick with everything. So just be relaxed, so like, yeah, you seem to be cool. Do you want to go on a date with me, or do you want to go out with me sometime to have drinks? And then she's like, yes. And then, okay, cool. Then let's exchange Instagram. And then she takes her phone out and follows you, or you follow her, or whatever, right? But just don't be attached to the outcome and what happens in the interaction. Just be self-amused, have fun. Don't worry too much about what you say. Just focus on your own energy. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think my biggest challenge is, yeah, just like worrying about what people think of me approaching and all these like people pleasing thoughts that go into my head. So I'm like aware of it, but I just have to like, I guess in the moment when I feel it, address it. So,
Yeah, and these kind of thoughts will always come up. You know, it's like the spotlight effect that you think that the world is turning around you, and that you think that everyone is watching you, and that everyone cares about you, and that everyone cares what you do and how you look and all of these things, but in reality no one really cares, you know? It's not important for other people what you do. And also if you don't stop caring what other people think of you, you will never get what you want.
I'll go. So just like based on,
Yeah, Holdy.
yeah, based on what I was doing yesterday, I think my biggest challenge, it changed. So first it was like having longer interactions and I think like communicating interest. And then the second one was stopping people, right? So like what would you say was my biggest challenges and how can I overcome those?
I think because of your Christian upbringing, so the same with me, of what we've been taught, that like sex is something bad and that you don't talk to strangers and that you don't show your intention, you know, that you have like maybe some sort of sexual shame in your communication. And that's why it's really hard for you to just show your intention and show your interest and communicate that clearly. So that's the most, or that's the biggest issue that you're having right now. That you don't want to show your intention because you think that you then give your power away, or that it comes across as needy or creepy or whatever. But it only comes across like that if you are really feeling that way in the interaction, you know? So it's much more how you feel, because what you feel is what the girls are going to feel.
That is something I believe from game is feeling like I'm giving my power away by showing my interest in her. Like thinking, "Oh, this girl's really attractive. Like I hope this goes well."
Yeah, but just because she's attractive doesn't mean that she is any better than you or any better than anyone else. And also, then you automatically put the girl on a pedestal if you think that just because she's hot. You know, a lot of guys get the girls that they don't want because then they act in a way where they don't really care too much because she's not that attractive. But then when it comes to the girls that they really want, then they immediately put her on a pedestal. And then they communicate unfiltered. They don't want to lose her. They don't want to get rejected. So they much rather play it safe. So if the girl is super hot or normal, average looking girl, your game shouldn't really change. You know, and generally you always want to be fun and teasing and playful and bantering and self-amused, whoever you're talking to. You know, so it doesn't really matter if it's a girl or if it's a man or whatever whoever you're talking to, it should always be fun. And you should just not care what people think about you. And also, if you say what you want unfiltered and you say funny things that you think are funny and you make yourself laugh, then people that don't like you and don't vibe with you are gonna be drawn away anyways. You know? So yeah, I literally don't even think about that. It's not important to me what other people think of me. It's irrelevant. Like literally, it's nothing in my head. And but I've been thinking exactly the same way like you. It was even that bad. So when I started to approach girls and learn cold approach, I had a plastic bottle in my hand or anything, and then I thought, oh, if I have this plastic bottle in my hand, then the girls are not gonna react well and they're gonna think I'm a weirdo, you know? Or like if there's a little wrinkle in my shirt, then that's gonna be a problem and she's gonna judge me for that, right? So it's been really bad. I've been the biggest nice guy and people pleaser, but now I just don't care anymore, whatever. And it takes practice. So the more you approach, the more you're social, the more you put yourself in these kind of fear-inducing situations where you don't feel comfortable yet. So for example, when you're approaching groups of girls or when you're approaching girls in general, then you're getting used to being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. and therefore your confidence and your self-respect improves. That's the only way. That's why most men stay shy and stuck and never get anywhere and never meet any girls, never meet any cool friends, because they avoid the uncomfortable situations. You know, dating, approaching girls is uncomfortable. Starting a business is uncomfortable. Having uncomfortable conversations with other people, negotiations, business deals, all of these things, these are all kind of uncomfortable conversations. So you always want to confront what you need to do in order to get to the next level. So in your comfort zone, nothing is growing. You don't grow, your confidence doesn't grow, your self-esteem doesn't grow. And the more you avoid being uncomfortable, the more you're telling your subconscious that you are not that kind of guy. And the more you reinforce that identity of you not talking to anyone, being shy, being social, antisocial, and yeah, you're just kind of stuck in your own way. You know?
I think I had maybe opportunities to try and say go toward instant date, but I would eject early or just go for the number close. What would be the steps to properly get to instant date?
Yeah, great question. So look, you approach the girl. When she's walking, you stop her. When she's sitting somewhere or standing somewhere, you approach her. You open the conversation with either something situational, a direct opener, an indirect opener, a situational opener, whatever. And then you start to talk to her. Yeah. And then you see if she's interested in you. So you do your assumption stack. Hey, you look like a Italian girl with your brown hair and brown eyes. Hey, you look like a frog with your green dress. You look like whatever, right? You can always say something funny. You look like a bad girl. You're dressed completely in black, or like a ninja, or whatever you're gonna say, like something funny. And then based on her reaction, you read her signals. If she's giving you indicators of interest, is she asking questions? Is she touching you? Is she engaged? Is she smiling? Does she like the approach? And then once you get like 3 indicators of interest, for example, if she's touching you and she's interested in you, then you assume that she's hooked. So we reached hook point. Hook point is the point in the interaction where the girl says, okay, this guy is fun. I want to talk to him. I want to get to know him more. And after the hook point, we go into figuring out the logistics. What is she doing right now? Where is she going? What is she up to? Is she having any plans later today? And then based on the logistics and what she's doing that day and her availability, you make a decision if you're going to take her number, if you're going to bounce her to a cafe or to a bar to get a drink or to get a coffee for an instant date. And then on the instant date, based on how she reacts to your physical escalation and how you talk to her and all that, based on that, you decide if you want to go for the same day and take her home the same day. So it always comes down open interaction, build attraction, read her signals if she's interested in you, then figure out the logistics, then go into comfort building where you're just asking about her, her past, her present, what she likes, what she doesn't like, music, movies, just getting to know each other. But based on the logistics, you make a decision if you should take her on an instant date.
What would you say would be a good time frame to be attraction building, just kind of flirty talking and things like that before you get into logistics?
The thing is, you can approach a girl and she can be instantly hooked just because she likes your energy, she likes the way you look, she's interested, she's available, she doesn't have a boyfriend or anything like that. So she can be instantly hooked, and then you can bounce her. So you can make a suggestion, yeah, let's go for a coffee, or I just wanted to get a coffee, do you want to come with me? and then you can take her. So it's not about a time frame. It's like, how interested is she in you? Because like I said, 2 weeks ago, I pulled a girl within 20 minutes here to the rooftop. You know, I talked to her, hey, what are you up to? Where you from? What are you doing? She's like, yeah, I'm working in a resort. I'm having my day off. I'm like, okay, nice. And what are you doing today? Are you drinking beer or coffee? And she's like, I like both. I'm like, okay, great. I just wanted to get a coffee. Do you want to come with me? And then she's like, yes. There was a 2-minute interaction, and I was in my swimming shorts from the beach. And then I approached her, and then I pulled her here. And then we were making out at the pool here. And then I've been taking her down to my apartment, and that worked in 20 minutes or an hour, you know? So it's much more based on the energy, how you vibe with each other. You just have to read the signals correctly, you know? Open the conversation, build attraction, read her signals and her hook point signals, social, sexual hook point, and then figure out the logistics, what she's up to right now, and then you can suggest something. And then she can say yes or no. And then you have to lead from there, right? So when you decide to go on an instant date, then don't think, oh, where am I gonna take her now, Rick? Where am I gonna take her now? Oh, is this a good place? You know, you cannot, there can't be any hesitation. So if you say you go on an instant date, then just say, yeah, I know a good bar or cafe, let's go there, and then just find one. You know, so it's always good to know about like your environments and where's good bars and clubs and all that. But if you're in a new city like you guys now, then just go to the next best one. And then you can have coffee or drinks or whatever you want, and then take it from there.
Real quick, can you list the like common hook points, the indicators again?
Like the signals when that girls show interest in
Yeah.
you. So touching is the big one. If she's touching you, she is interested, right? Then the eye contact. So it's more about the non-verbals. So like you can see it in her eye contact, like how deep is she looking in your eyes? How intense and long is the eye contact? These kind of things. Also, how close is she standing to you? You know, if you approach her and she doesn't back away when you're standing close to her, then she's already okay with your intimacy. You know, when you go in a nightclub on the dance floor and you start dancing with a girl and she's super up for it and you make out within 30 seconds, then I would say that's a clear signal that she likes you, right? So generally you want to look at the nonverbal, and sometimes girls give you verbal signals like, hey, you're cool, you're funny, it's fun talking to you, you are fun or whatever, or they make you a compliment. So that can be typical things. But generally, you want to assume that girls are interested, and you want to expect that she's interested and that she likes you. You know, so like it's more like a mindset that you're a great guy and that the girl is actually interested in you.